Welcome to the Wild West. This is the War Pony podcast, where we are your trading post for all upcoming productions, connections, and tricks of the trade. I'm your host, Cassidy Honey, bringing West Texas to you. I'm a wife, mom, businesswoman, holistic equine therapist, and team roper. Relax and watch the sunset as we highlight events, consult on business, share knowledge of the industry, and talk to the legends and rising stars of the community. Join the tribe and make War Pony your one-stop shop for all things West Texas. Hey Rodeo fans, today's episode is sponsored by the awesome ladies at Jordan Realty Group at Fathom Realty, led by D. Paige Jordan, a West Texas native and Midland hometown girl. Their team of dedicated professionals that truly understand the West Texas way of life. Whether you're buying or selling, they know the ins and outs of ranches, farms, and rural properties that define this region. With deep roots in the equestrian and agricultural world, they're passionate about helping you find your home or property that best fits your West Texas lifestyle. If you're building your legacy for the first time or looking to sell, Jordan Realty Group is here to guide you. Check them out at jordanrealtytx.com altogether, or give them a call at 432-557-4735. We will also have their contact information linked in the show notes. All right, guys, welcome to War Pony Podcast. I'm your host, Cassidy Honey. I have Matthew Tanner with us today. He is the president of No Limits. We're going to kind of talk to you about behind the scenes of the Junior Rodeo World Associations.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Yes, ma'am.
So let's kick it off and let's talk about the No Limits.
You bet. So I guess it was about 7 years ago, my wife and I, they didn't have a little play day series or anything yet. So we had started a barrels, poles, flags, and goats in Lamesa. Picked it up and had, I think our first year we had 22 kids. Really fun little Friday night little deals.
And you guys are from Lamesa.
We are. Yeah, we're from Lamesa. And it got so big by year 3, we had over 60 contestants that were coming, and we had some families approach us and said, Matt, what would you ever think about having a junior rodeo, like making this a real deal? And I said, well, that's a dream of mine. It really is. I want to offer something big. And I think our first year we had right at 60 members, 65 members. We got our 501c3. We hit the ground running, had some good sponsors jump in, a lot of really good families that joined and locked arms with us to make this happen. And that's what it's taken. I mean, this is our fourth season, fifth season, fourth year.
And you guys have just grown tremendously.
Tremendously, yeah. We've got 175 members this year, and this weekend alone, we're running just over 1,200 runs.
That's crazy. And you've not only made this a legit junior rodeo association, but you've done a lot to try to bring stuff to West Texas. You want to kind of talk about like the Hui?
Absolutely. So 2 years ago, we locked arms with the Junior Hui Patriot. That offers these kids in West Texas a chance that they can come locally and have a chance to go to the big lights, the big city in Fort Worth and compete at the Junior Hui Patriot Finals.
And that's in March.
I think last year they paid out just under $2 million to these kids. And that's big for West Texas. That's really big for West Texas. And before we were able to offer an event here, they were having to go 4, 5, 6 hours away from here just to even find an event.
Yeah.
So
I know when I pulled up today, the whole parking lot's full, stalls are full, hookups are full, and it is a whole family ordeal.
It is, and it kind of goes back to where we started. We really wanted to offer an association. My wife and I, whenever we said, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it. We're going to do it right. And it's faith-based. Everything we do, we put God first and we give him all the glory.
Let's talk about the name No Limits. Where did that come in?
Basically just there's no limits to what these kids can do. There's no limits. Matter of fact, the brand, we let one of our contestants create. Our old secretary, her daughter, they made this brand, and it's what's stuck with us.
That's really neat.
I want these kids to know that there's not a thing in this world that they cannot achieve. And there's absolutely no limits to what they can do.
That's really cool. So let's talk about what it takes behind the scenes to put on events like this. Like you said, you had over 1,000 runs in 2 days here. And what does that look like as the producer standpoint?
It's a lot. It's a big task, but it really takes just the people behind the scenes that like our association. We've got amazing board members this year that have been with me the last 2 years, that have really stepped up and handled things. And our directors are just unreal, handling their own events themselves, making things run smooth. And then also our committee members, they step in everywhere. So I mean, it's just like-minded people who want the same thing that my wife and I wanted so long ago, and that's neat. That's the coolest part of it.
It is.
It really
neat.
is.
So for those who don't know you, Matthew, let's talk about who you are.
So Matthew Tanner, I was born and raised in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I was born on a ranch. I wasn't born on a ranch. I'm sorry. I was born in Albuquerque, but my mom married my stepdad in Moriarty, New Mexico, where they were farmers. And I got to start rodeoing at 7 years old. Grew up throughout New Mexico. They didn't have junior high rodeo when we rodeoed, but we junior rodeoed 4-H, a little bit of NMJRA, and then high school rodeoed, and then just amateur.
That's neat.
Yeah.
And then you get to raise your family kind of in a similar aspect.
That's right. Yeah, we have 3 beautiful children that were there. My daughter at 1 year old and my son 3 were in the lead line this weekend. That's where it starts.
That's right.
And my oldest daughter decided to take a break, which is okay. She's got other sports that she's chasing after right now, softball and basketball, and she's an amazing young lady. So super proud of her.
For those of you who cannot tell, we are actually sitting in the arena right now as they're running the barrel racing.
Yep.
I'm sure you guys can hear some background noise. What does it look like for a full weekend? Like, so you get here Friday morning and you are just starting to get everything together, and you probably won't leave until midnight tonight. Let's talk about a little bit of that aspect.
Yeah, it's a little bit of time away from family, but luckily this is a family ordeal and all of our families pitch in. So yeah, we start Friday morning, setting up banners, setting up arena, making sure the arena is up to where we want it, setting up the alleyway, making sure safety is number one priority. And this year we're running 2 arenas, so it's double the work. But it's really to put on this kind of event with this many kids, this many runs.
And this is great too because it's air conditioned. You do have the 2 arenas.
Yeah.
It is a great facility to host this caliber of an event for sure.
Yeah. Well, we had some other families come up to us this week and said, "I've never been to something this big where it ran off so well."
Yeah.
And
you guys have added the slack into it.
We've added slack, yeah, which is a huge deal because a lot of kids, if they can't make it one day, they can come and rope or run both their events in one day. And
2 runs in one day.
2 runs in one day, and their first run will be for Saturday, or vice versa. You know, so it's a great option for kids. That along with the multiple events we have. I mean, last year alone we gave away 2 trailers and 60 event saddles. So between the event and all around saddles, so that was a lot.
That was awesome. So if people want to donate and stuff, how can they get in contact to be a part of No Limits for that aspect?
Absolutely. So you can either contact myself, or on our website is our www.nolimitsjra.com. You can go there and reach out to our rodeo secretary, Katie Waters. My number's on there as well. Contact me. We have a sponsorship form. Portfolio also shows like NLJRA by the numbers of where we started and where we are now, where that money goes.
And you are a 501c3.
We are a 501c3.
You do get that write-off for business purposes.
Absolutely.
Being a donation.
Absolutely. We have some companies that have really locked arms with us and have been a huge blessing. And we want to be able to give back to them too. So it's just been a fun ride.
How are you guys involved in the community? Obviously you're hosting these events, but you say giving back. Is there certain organizations and things that you do give back to, or how does that work?
Well, kind of like we teamed up with you a little bit for the Garcia family.
Yeah.
I mean, there's certain things that whenever we get together, and we feel like it's a need for our association, it's something good for our association, we're never going to bat an eye. The Garcia family, we locked arms with you and did a lot of cool things for them behind the scenes of just what they were going through.
Yeah, and then for those listening too, is we do have some events planning in the future for the Garcia family. I know we've talked a little bit about hosting a team rope-in and stuff like that. So stay tuned for like a future date on all of that. But those things are in the works. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's we find areas, and mainly we don't do so much. We haven't yet done so much with other organizations. but we really try to focus in on, does a family need help? What can we do for that family?
Absolutely.
These families are what keep this event going
Yes.
every single year. I mean, this year we've got people from Las Vegas, New Mexico. That's a long drive. I mean, that's a 6-7 hour drive.
And you guys are usually one rodeo a month, right?
We have one rodeo a month, and then we're fall spring rodeos now. It doesn't conflict through the summer. There's so many other events for these kids to go to throughout the summer.
And it gets so hot here.
It gets hot. It gets hot in West Texas. So that's why 5 seasons in 4 years, because we went back to back that first year. We did summer rodeos. All right, this ain't gonna work. Let's start back this fall.
Yeah.
And that was crazy.
And it's nice to give parents that break, because I know in the summer a lot of people are also doing summer traveling and stuff like that. And it's nice to have that little bit of time where you're not tied down to some sort of series that you have to make it to. Do you have to go to a certain amount of rodeo to qualify for end of year stuff?
Yeah. So this year there's 80% of the rodeos. So whether we have, like this year we were supposed to have 10, we've got 8. They got to make 6 of the rodeos. So we had to cancel one rodeo, the October rodeo, due to a conflict with junior high. There's too many of these kids that are going to them junior high rodeos, and especially part of our board to put this rodeo on, and we'd be missing too many people. So, yeah.
Do you have any big goals or things that you kind of plan on going with No Limits? I mean, I know this has grown overnight, and it's really become the next thing, I think, for West Texas as far as junior rodeos go.
Yeah. So,
do you have any goals or things that you kind of want to share?
I think that we all have the same goal, and we talk about it often, actually. It's just offering an association families are proud to hold their hat on, hang their hat on us, that they can come and compete and grow. I mean, there's some of these kids that I remember that were lead lining that are now in the 7-9 or 6 and under with us. That's amazing. To see some of them kids that were dummy roping last year back in the box this weekend.
Yeah.
That's what's cool. But offering just an association that offers the best payout. There's not anywhere else you're going to go that's going to offer 80% payback in junior rodeo.
Yeah.
There's weekend awards, which we do, and then also some of the best awards at the end of the series. I had a goal by year 3 by year 4 to have give away 2 trailers and all event saddles. It happened. So by 10 years, we look towards, we'd like to be able to give 10 trailers away instead of saddles for the all around, and event saddles,
awesome.
and a lot of other cool things. So there's even a lot going on in the works right now to better this year, and that's pretty neat.
That is neat. Let's talk about the kids for a minute. So I had the pleasure, I actually got to interview some of the kiddos.
That's
and
cool.
It is so neat to see them and like what they stand for. And there was a all girls team roping team that came up to me, and they were just so proud that they were a part of this organization and that they got to, do what, girls can do, anything that boys can do, and all the stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it is neat to see these kids. So have you had any kids that have went to No Limits that have had, and I know you haven't been in the industry, like this hasn't been really established, but have you had anybody that came in and is now having like a really successful college career, or like, do you have any of that? How old do they go to here?
Till 19 and under. So up to 19.
They could hit college.
So Hunter Maticio is the one that comes first to mind. Her and her entire family were with us from the beginning. She's going to college now. I think she rodeos.
I think that'll be neat to see in a couple, 10 years. Like, whoa, where did these kids who started here in Andrews, Texas with us go to?
There's so many names that I could rant. I mean, I know some this year that are going on. You've got Randy Dinsby that's coming up. She's a really big contender here. You have Allie and AC Autry, who are coming here. I mean, AC Autry, she just tied a 5.8 in the goat time today.
Oh my gosh. And how old is she?
She's 13.
Oh my gosh. I think my fastest time was like a 10, and then I was like, I'm done. I don't ever want to get off a horse if it's for no good reason. Yeah.
So Holy smokes. You have Allie Autry, her sister, who won the American last year. Split the $100,000 in the goat time for beating her time. I think she was a 6'1".
That's wild.
I mean, it's just unreal. We have some cool things happening.
People always say West Texas has some tough competitors.
Absolutely.
I think that is something that just gets looked over. And I know I've said it 100 times, but I just want to shed light on our area because you're telling me we have a 13-year-old girl tying in a 5'8". I mean, some of your college girls don't even tie in a 5'8".
You're exactly right.
Like, that's neat.
Well, them girls, I'll tell you what, they eat, sleep, and breathe goat tying. And then her sister, Allie, today was a 1'8", and the breakaway opened it just a little bit ago. Dang. So it's pretty cool.
That's neat. So you sanction with Hui?
Yep.
The Patriot.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anyone else that you've kind of reached out and maybe trying to bring into West Texas?
We've talked to Vegas Toughest. They've already got some other events that are going on that are too close. We hope that maybe one day we'll be able to be a Vegas Toughest qualifier as well. It's been pretty cool to see, even watching our kids here that go to other events for Vegas Toughest, that go to Vegas and represent No Limits.
Yeah.
Or the coolest thing for me is watching those kids ride up in a No Limits saddle or have a breast collar on. But there's not many others besides Vegas Toughest that we've reached out to.
Yeah.
We are teamed up with WCRA.
Okay.
So all of our events.
So for those that don't know what WCRA is, kind of touch a little bit about how that works.
So the WCRA is where those kids, our kids can go to the youth division of the WCRA. I think it was in Oklahoma this year. But Rob Smets, we all know who Rob Smets is, the Kamikaze Kid, world famous bullfighter. His grandson comes to our rodeos, Carter Owens. And back in 3 years ago, I reached out, or he came and talked to me at a rodeo and said that he would like for us to be a qualifier for them, and we jumped on board with them. And so every event it's not anything specific or that, but what kids can do is they can take their points from this rodeo and it go towards their.
But they have to nominate this rodeo first.
They have to nominate this rodeo first. So
you can't just go have a good rodeo. You got to go beforehand.
Yep.
Nominate your runs.
That's correct.
And then your money earned goes towards the WCRA.
Yep. Same way with the Hui. So they have to nominate the night before, and then their points and their money earned can go towards those events.
And so if they have a bad run or whatever, it's just kind of one of those things. And if they have a good run, that's great, but you can't do it after. You got to do it before.
That's right.
So we talked about roping and goats and all that. Do you guys own your own stock or do you guys contract out?
So yeah, we actually hire contractors to come in. We have the Waters family brings our goats out of Anson, Texas. We have Marty Eakin, who comes out of East Texas, to brings our calves. Some of the best calves going. He handles a lot of the high plains and AJRAs. He handles the AJs and the Region 2 rodeos, a lot of other stuff. And we have Matt Stockton bringing our steers. It's been the best set of cattle we've ever had. They've been with us the last 2 years, and that's been fun.
And that'll make or break a rodeo real quick if you don't have good stock, for sure.
It will. Yeah, good stock. I mean, good stock, good payout. That's two of the biggest things why people won't come.
Do you think you'd ever introduce like the rough stock side of it to No Limits?
We've had a lot of people approach us about it, and it's just hard. The rough stock brings a different scene sometimes, and it's not a bad scene, but it's just
there's a lot of work that goes into it.
There's a lot of work, and in order for us to have rough stock in our minds, with us paying out, the amount of money that we'd have to charge after stock fees, because they charge by the out. And I've had these conversations. I mean, I grew up rodeoing myself, and I've talked to people. It wouldn't be sufficient for a kid to have to come and enter the bull riding or calf riding with the calf fees and everything and their stock fees that we would have to instill.
The payout just wouldn't.
And the payout just wouldn't be there for them. You know, I
think it's good to mention, because this basically is a whole rodeo production, and you do have a few events that are missing, but you also have some other events. So let's talk. You have the ribbon roping.
We got ribbon roping. We got calf touch. Everything what we've done with No Limits when it comes to event wise, we try to set it up for the next their next age group. Okay, so for instance, goat flanking. Them going down there and having to actually get a hold of their goat and flank him is setting them up to be able to then grab 3 feet and tie.
Yeah.
So 6 and under is goat flanking. 7 to 9. There's the calf touch. Learning how to rope your calf, get off, and get to your calf.
And then there's people in the arena that are helping them.
They're there to help them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you have 10 to 12. We have 10 to 12. They can either double mug or tie down. Some of these kids aren't ready to tie down by themselves. So we offer the double mugging, where them kids can go down, have somebody else flank their calf for them, and then grab a leg for them, and they can learn to tie. It's setting up kids for success,
Yeah,
and
neat.
that's exactly what we've done with our events. And we do have a lot of events, and that's probably one of the hardest things about tapping off a rodeo this big so fast. But it's seeing the kids make that next step makes it all worth it.
Do you guys, you don't have that in between like lead line and 6 and under, right?
We do.
You have what is it?
We have lead line, which is 5 and under.
Yeah.
And then 6 and under.
But do you have so something that I'm like struggling finding for my daughter is she's not ready to go get her butt handed to her in the 6 and under yet, but she's over the lead line. She's like in that age group. So you're 6 and under, they still go off of times and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, and what's crazy, let me tell you something. We had a 6 and under girl this weekend coming on a 21 in the polls.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, my little.
But then we also had a 6 and under that was 3 years old, rode his pony and trotted and loped the whole event. But yesterday he walked the whole event and he loped the whole event today in the polls. And you should have the excitement on his face.
Yeah.
The excitement on his face. He beat his time by like 20 seconds, and he was just excited. That's what this is about.
That is cool.
That's what this is about.
That is cool.
So.
It is neat. It's really neat to see the kids or just the athletes that we have here in West Texas when you do go to Vegas and you do get to watch them. And it is really neat. And the American and the Patriot and all those are really neat events that give a lot of people a lot of opportunity. And I think it's great that you guys are kind of teaming up with them to try to get these kids to those next levels of events and things. I think that's really cool.
That's correct.
Yeah. I don't know if a lot of people, I just don't know if a lot of people know that or not.
No. Yeah.
Because that's a really new up and coming thing.
Oh yeah, it's big.
Yeah, all of that, and even like the World Series doing the at-home qualifiers and all sorts of stuff. It's really neat.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see how it's all kind of moving.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the finals. How does your finals look like over at No Limits?
Man, it's gonna be hard to top last year's. Our finals last year were really we met our goal, and I think that financially it's gonna be extremely smart of us to stick with that goal for a while. Last year alone, we paid out over 100 and something thousand in payout and over $120,000 in rewards. So that alone is just remarkable. I don't know how we're going to top it.
And you guys do your award ceremony right after the last rodeo?
We do it right after the last rodeo. So that's a weekend. Let me tell you something, because we got to hear Wednesday, unpack everything, set up our finals. But then that's whenever the moms go into effect. And they go into decorating mode and everything else, and it was a lot of fun this year. But I'll tell you.
Do you guys ever get live music and all that kind of stuff? Or
so last year, before, it was at our finals the night before. We had a dance out here. We had Matt Barker has a good friend that plays all over New Mexico and Ruidoso and all that, and he come in and we had a blast. We had a little dance on the backside of the arena.
That's fun.
Man, it was fun. We had a cookout here one time just for our members after the rodeo. Everybody come over here and have a chili dog and sit here and visit and socialize, and just it was a blast.
If I miss anything from high school rodeos is I high school rodeo in Wyoming.
Okay.
And that's where I'm from. And it was just so much fun, right? Like the cowboy proms, the fellowship just after with everybody. I mean, you go trailer to trailer, you just kind of hang out, and I think that's really special. And unless you're a rodeo kid, you probably don't even understand what we're saying, but it is. I mean, that was something that I think is just so neat.
Yeah. And what's crazy is whenever I was in high school, I do remember cowboy prom, but I vaguely, I remember very well, every Saturday night, there was always a dance.
Yeah.
Always a dance. Saturday nights.
In the parking lot or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we just had fun. You know? So, and we do like to do that here. We love to have a good time. This year's been a little different.
Typically stay overnight too with you.
We do.
Being
a
2-day rodeo.
Yeah. A lot of families are coming in from so far now. This weekend alone, we had people from Stephenville, Fort Worth, Abilene, up in the Panhandle, Amarillo, Vega.
And I will say this, Andrew's facility does have the best ground in West Texas by far, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
It is 100% safe. Lex, I don't know how many years he has worked here and drove that tractor, but it is, if you're hosting an event that is top notch, you have to have top notch ground facilities. And I think that Andrew's does a phenomenal job at keeping that going.
Well, I'll tell you, whenever we first started, we went to 5 different facilities. And that's easy to do in West Texas. It is, but also like you just mentioned, finding the facility that's got the stalls to handle your stall count. We're renting over 100 stalls
And
a
they
night.
just redid all their stalls, and they're really nice.
They're very nice, yeah. And they have more covered pens now.
Yes.
So finding somewhere that can house that many stalls, have that many hookups. We have very few families that go ahead and run a generator and park on this side because of convenience. But you got to have that. And
you
not
have
only
enough pins for your stock. Because that's
Absolutely.
another big thing. You start looking, I know that there's several other venues in our area that they have all the other accommodations, but their stock pins are just tiny. Like you're kind of capped out at that for sure.
Well, and that's the best thing about Andrews. Like I said, we got people coming from every which way, and this is pretty well centrally located.
Yeah.
Whenever 90% of our kids are coming from West Texas and southeastern New Mexico, it's pretty neat.
I really love how you've taken this from a rodeo, but to what goes into the rodeo, right? I mean, food, hotels, just all those things that it's expensive. I recently, I'm sure you've heard, I interviewed Jared Hofstetter, right?
Yeah.
And it's just, you have these other kids that do other sports, like even basketball and stuff. And I mean, I'm not saying there's not expenses in those other sports, but rodeo is so expensive, that it's like, it's crazy that there's not the extra money that gets added into it and helped. And I think it's great that you just try to do those things. Like, it's not hurting the organization. You're coming out of the organization's pocket, essentially, but you're helping them get.
Yeah. Just what we're doing around here was trying to build a legacy. We're trying to build a firm foundation that's going to continue on for many, many years. You sit back and think about AJ's. AJ started in 1930 something.
Yeah.
Their very first rodeo was in Post, Texas. I mean, and there's a plaque there for it.
That's cool.
Like, there's a lot of really cool things that we have going, and I feel like No Limits. I'm proud to say that we're probably one of the largest junior rodeo associations in southeastern New Mexico and West Texas now.
And if someone wants to kind of get on the board or get involved, what does that look like? How can you get involved in the?
It's a little bit of a process. I mean, just show your interest, be there to help throughout the year, and then every year we'll add on if we have committee members that leave, or we'll add on more. It's always it takes a village to do these deals, but like our vice president, our board member positions are elected every 4 years, and then committee members can have the first chance at that as well. So getting on the committee is just getting with one of us, helping throughout the year, show the interest, let us know. Don't be afraid to tell us. But here's the cool thing. We had families that were at the M2 finals yesterday that are part of our board, that are even arena directors, and they're directors of our association. And what do? We stepped in to fill their spot.
Yeah.
So we're not going to cut you out. Family first, number one here. And then we put on our rodeo.
Yeah. So. And I mean, you guys also have families and lives too. You understand, like, there might just be a weekend that just doesn't work,
Absolutely. Yeah.
So something before we get to the end that I do want to touch a little bit about is the Garcia family.
Yes.
So that's kind of how you and I kind of kicked off our friendship and stuff, is through that. And so do you just want to talk a little bit about who the boys were, Axel mainly,
Well, Axel and Arjun were amazing, both of them. And we had a memorial for him this morning. We had his last ride.
Yeah, tell me about that.
I tell you.
Oh man.
Oh
gosh.
It was special.
Yeah.
It was that family means a lot to us, and Axel. And none of them ever batted an eye to jump in and help with a smile on, and loved what they did. And to see his mom here today just was the best feeling in the world. But to see the kids ride, to see how many kids were in the arena with him was just powerful.
Yeah.
It shows what kind of impact a kid can put on somebody's life. And that was huge. I look up to that.
It's really neat to see just everyone come together too. I think that's something that if you're in the rodeo industry, you understand, like, rodeo family is thick, and it is.
It's where it's at.
Yeah, like it is, and it's really cool to see like such a unfortunate tragedy, but it brought everybody together, that family and stuff.
Absolutely.
And the organization, you know, I mean, it's just neat that there's so much support.
Yeah. It was. He's still with us. It says it on all of our back numbers. I don't know if you've seen them yet. Riding with Axel.
No,
Riding
I
for
haven't.
Axel.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool. There's one right there.
That's cool.
Yeah. So
That's really neat.
It's neat. We're doing everything we can to keep his name. We know he's always going to be with us. So,
that's right.
And the family still wants to be a part and be here with us, and we're so thankful for that. So I would like to just say thank you to all of our sponsors.
Yeah.
There's sponsors that have been with us since the beginning. There's sponsors that just came on with us, but I do want everybody to know that this would not be possible without them. Big or small, it doesn't matter. The impact that you're making on these kids' lives and on my life and on our board's life is bar none.
Yeah.
So
these
thank
are the
you.
memories I think that last with them forever. You know, I look back and I'm like, man, like, yeah, I still get to compete as an adult, but it's not the same. When you're competing as a kid, it really is those moments that you live for.
Yeah.
So, well, I end all my podcasts with a question. Okay. And the question is, why is West Texas special to you?
West Texas, well, I'm Central New Mexico guy, but born and raised. But I'll tell you, my wife brought me to West Texas, and it's the best thing that ever happened to me. So West Texas is special to me. For one, the families are in West Texas. My wife and my family are here, and I'm excited to raise my family in West Texas. But it's the culture here, the people here that surround us, man, a lot of the culture, a lot of the people, and the scenery is not too bad.
So I don't know what scenery you're looking at.
We have some pretty scenery around us.
You got to be creative.
Yeah, you got to be creative. But
I do like when it's about to rain and the stages get a little purple. Those are my favorite.
Or some of the skies we get around here.
Oh, okay. The sunsets. You definitely can't beat a West Texas sunset.
Right.
You might be able to beat like the mesquites in the dirt, but the sunset.
The sunset is
good.
Yeah. So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for taking the time out. I know that you've been out here pushing cabs and doing everything. So I really appreciate just being able to kind of talk about No Limits, what it stands for, and kind of what you are.
Yes, ma'am.
So
thank you so much.
All right, guys, stay tuned. For those who don't know you,
I'm John Nunn, the Vice President of the No Limits Junior Rodeo Association.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So go ahead and let's talk a little bit about the association. So it started kind of as, this is your 5th year?
Yeah, it's the 5th year for the No Limits Association itself, yes. Our year, this would be my 3rd year as a member with them, or my kids being members with them, and then my 2nd year to serve on the board with them.
What does that look like? You have kids rodeoing here, but you also are on the board. So how do you juggle all that?
I got lucky. My kids are old enough to where I kind of tell them where they need to be in that morning, and they're old enough that they can go and catch their own horses, saddle their own horses, get their own stuff ready, and they watch where we're at whenever we run the performance, and they kind of make sure that they're where they need to be on their own. I got a lot better than somebody who has a 7 or 9 year old.
Yeah.
So
you started a couple years ago. You know, what does it stand for?
Yeah. So before No Limits was founded, we rodeoed in La Mesa with Matt Tanner for a season when my kids were, of course, a lot younger.
You guys are from Seminole?
Yeah, we live in Seminole. We knew that the No Limits had kind of gotten kicked off there for a couple years. We were members of some other junior rodeo associations that we attended. We hadn't really looked into them until, like I say, about 2 years ago. Just their scheduling and stuff kind of lined up with us, and then whenever they started hosting all of their events here in Andrews, the geographic location of it really grabbed our attention for us.
Yeah, it's basically in your backyard.
Yeah, we make a 30-minute drive, and we're here. We can go home every night if we want to. Mm-hmm. We're not having to travel. And this actually replaced some of the New Mexico junior rodeos that we were going to because of that reason. And then, of course, the facility. We don't have any holdback with the Ace Arena. Indoors, air conditioning, nice, good arenas.
Yeah, 2 arenas, stalls, hookups, all the amenities for sure.
Yeah, everything right here in one spot, so it makes it easy to pick this one to come to for that reason.
So being the vice president of this, how does that look like? What are your roles? What are your things?
I don't know what my role is. I fill in as needed. It seems like everywhere. Help with a lot of the major decision making and lots of meetings and phone calls and helping.
A lot of stuff
Trying
that
to get
goes
everything set up and operable
behind the scenes of
Yeah.
getting this rodeo even here to where it is today.
Yeah, a lot of the labor part that nobody ever really notices. That's kind of where I think I fall in the most, is on that side of things.
What are some goals that you have for the organization?
Myself, I think we're getting there this year. I mean, my biggest deal for me and my kids and what we're doing is the money, to get the payouts up for these kids. That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, it costs money for sure.
Yeah, everything is expensive. And, these junior rodeos, without a payout to help the kids, it's almost not worth going. And that's our goal, is to get it where we have the entries and a place where they all come together and rodeo together. And whenever they show up there, they can actually win some money, not just pay an entry fee. And
you guys also give out prizes and things like that too.
Yeah, we give out our weekend award prizes every weekend for High Point in each age group, for boys and girls. That's our weekend stuff, and then of course our finals, our year-end awards are, in my opinion, the biggest I've ever seen. I haven't seen.
You give away trailers and.
Yeah, I've not seen an association yet that a kid can walk in and pull out 5 or 6 event saddles and take a shot at winning them a high dollar customized trailer. I mean, that's unheard of almost anywhere unless you're Fort Worth or in Guthrie, Oklahoma.
That's really neat.
And especially this year, it's been very dramatic. This is our first rodeo back, and the growth in No Limits is just shown from what we did last year, and the progression. We've Matthew Tanner's actually charted it, and the growth is just steadily climbing. And our numbers, it just shows this year what we've done. We're up.
Yeah, when I pulled in here earlier, I thought, oh my gosh, like I haven't seen this parking lot this full in a long time.
Yeah.
So
for a junior
vendors
event
out here and everything else. So that's really neat.
Yeah, we've I know all year last year and the year before they've had a few vendors here just setting up some booths, and then there's a few that have kind of come and gone or in and out throughout the season. That called about coming back. They just had other events scheduled and stuff. Nothing real big and crazy, but definitely something to where they're here and they're making sales and getting noticed too. I mean, getting and then also getting invited to other events that are completely outside of No Limits.
Let's talk about a little bit about how you guys are kind of co-sanctioning with like the Hui Patriot and the WCRA.
So we've hosted, this weekend being one of them. We've hosted several Hui Patriot qualifiers, junior Patriot qualifiers for the kids, and then. But yeah, we've offered some qualifiers for that stuff.
What was the purpose of offering those qualifiers for No Limits?
Well, I don't know how it really started. Matthew Tanner and them would have to speak on that, but I know that what it does is, for a lot of the locals around here, it coincides with our membership drives, and also, instead of us having to go off and rodeo miles and miles away, you can come right here to Andrews and get qualified.
Where you're already going to be this weekend,
right? Yeah. If we're already rodeoing here, for a lot of our working members and stuff, you can come qualify right here and not have to travel for it. That helps a lot of people.
I do end all my podcasts with a question, and it's why is West Texas special to you? So just to add to your whole like thrown at you thing.
Well, that I don't think that's a fair question for me because it's not West Texas. It's special to me. I work here. That's about all. I can think of a lot prettier places to be than this.
I'm with you on that. I will say this. There are some good people here.
I don't know. Yeah, the people. There's good people everywhere. I do a lot of traveling and working all over the United States, and come down here to work that'll tell you that the home people, right? Not so much the people that are here for work, but the home people here. That's what they miss when they leave. A lot of the people they meet, the friends they make. Um, but the people that, yeah, I mean, I like I say, and it's all about who you associate with too. I mean, like I say, we're in the western part of West Texas, so like I say, all like-minded people, and I see very few conflicts with people here in that with that mindset.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to the War Pony Podcast. If you have a story to tell or want to be a sponsored ad on our podcast, you can always contact us at Cassidy@warpony.co. That is CASSIDY@warpony.co. Or you can always find us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at War Pony Co.